I think we're rolling. I think we're rolling. Episode 16. And it's a big number for you, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Big
welcome.
time.
Welcome. This is 16 of Alive with Joey. I can't believe it's been that long, but here we are. And we're going to give people a little bit of time to jump on. How's your day?
It's been absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You're vibing.
I am. I am. I mean, I got to meet Jesus today.
So
we're
going to dive into that right there because people are like, what the fuck did she just say?
I know. They're like, what? But I feel like we should just, I'm not going to hold back why I'm feeling like this.
No. So tell me a little bit, like, how did your day start off? Like, let's go through the day and how this
the day.
Happened. Yeah.
Okay. The day. I woke up and actually I felt it was an overwhelming sadness and fear. And I couldn't.
That's how you woke up?
That's how I woke up.
Yeah.
And I knew it wasn't mine. I knew instantly that it wasn't mine, but I didn't know where it was coming from or what I was supposed to do with it. So when those kinds of energies come to me, I had been pushing them away, kind of repelling them away from me. And I sat with it and I said to myself, I was like, okay, this isn't mine. And this is not how I'm going to start my day. I'm going to have the best day. I'm in my highest and best timeline, and that's where I'm going to stay. I'm meant to stay in this higher vibration. So show me how good it can get today.
I like that
one. Yeah, I love that one. Show me how good it can get today, and show me the signs I need to see and the places I need to be. That's my new favorite one.
Ooh, you added some things there.
That's my it. Show me the signs that I need to see and take me to the places I need to be.
And you made it rhyme.
I know. Like, what is that? It just came to me today.
It's like an 8 Mile sequel. But like
I know. I'm like Eminem over here. I actually really resonate with that's all. Oh my goodness, that cracks me up.
Don't stop. I want to hear it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how my day started. And when I said, show me the signs I need to see and take me to the places I need to be, very quickly they started to come in. The signs started to come in that I hopped on. I set that intention before I hopped on my phone, and then I hopped on Instagram, and the first thing that popped up was about the school shooting that occurred yesterday. And I'm like, and all in the posts that I was seeing about the school shooting, I was noticing the numerology in it and how it tied back to me.
Yep.
Because recently I've been shown very specific numbers, and I'm learning how to map those out with my guides and figure out what that means to me. And so as that started to develop, I realized very quickly that I was told about that shooting about 3 hours before it happened yesterday by my guides.
So was it like super clear? Like
No, that's the thing. It wasn't clear. I took my dogs for a walk, and as I was walking down the street, I turn over and I look at a house, and it's a house I normally pass, but in chalk. And I took a picture of it because I'm like, I don't understand this, but I feel like it's important. And so I took a picture of it, and it said dead man. And it was written in chalk. And I was like, why is this standing out to me? This is strange.
Yeah.
And so I continued to walk. And I didn't go the normal way that I normally go because the road was closed and there was all kinds of construction. And I was like, well, my dog's really timid around a lot of like construction stuff. So I walked in a different direction. And as I was walking, I noticed on the sidewalk, I looked on the sidewalk, and you know how when concrete is wet, you can kind of hand scribble in it?
Yeah.
So in the hand scribble, it said bang. And it stuck out to me because the man who does my nails, his name is Bang. And so I was like, oh, maybe this is some kind of sign to do with Bang who does my nails. And then I go about my day. I get a whole bunch of other different beautiful signs that I was actually able to translate very quickly.
Yep.
And came home, went about my day. And so this morning I realized, okay, that I need to, what happened here? And so I look at the photo, and I took the photo at the corresponding time that the man went into the school.
Oh.
And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And so I actually, I talked to our friend Brenna about it. And that's why it's really important that, like, as we go through this, we find the people we're meant to connect with. And so we can have these conversations, because the more you have these conversations, the more you can learn about what's happening. And I felt it in my chest. I felt the fear there. Mm. And she said, well, you're never given energy that you can't transmute. When that comes in, you know, ask for help and figure out where you need to go to get rid of it. Or to transmute it, not get rid of it, and send it back to source and to light. And over the last several days, that has been very clearly taught to me how to go about doing that. So I actually dropped in and went through that process and came back out of it, realizing that while these very tragic things happen, when that sadness and fear hits you, like, some of us are able to move through that. So that's how my day started.
How's that for a day?
That honestly, it almost feels like I'm settling into, like, this is a norm. It's strange to say that, because, you know, if you had asked me a year ago, I would have been like, oh, this is bananas. Absolutely not, Claudia. Like,
so this is something I haven't shared before, but I think I'm being pulled to share it. So I used to work in a maximum security penitentiary, and as a correctional officer. I don't know if you knew that.
I had no idea. No, I can't even imagine this right now.
10 years. I did that. Yeah. So, wow, this is so wild. So, and I was actually talking about this story to a few people, or to someone a few days ago. I was working in what we call the control center, or bubble. And so it's like in the maximum security prison, it'd be a center where all the doors are controlled, inmate movement, and all this other thing. And you basically control everything in the unit, so no one gets mixed up with the wrong crowd, different gangs, different yada yada. And there was a fight that happened on one of the ranges. And usually when that happens, one of us notices, like, there's an armed officer in what we call the gallery that is fully armed. He has, OC gas, which is OC spray, which is pepper spray, and a bunch of other munitions to basically control what's happening. Because, I mean, violence it's prison. It happens all the time. And there was a moment that happened. There was an incident that happened in one of the last years of me being in the job, where I started to really tap in to my gifts with the other side. And that came after my retreat in Guatemala. That was a month long, but that's neither here nor there. But basically what happened was a fight on range. One of the inmates got stabbed in the neck. And he came to what we call the barrier, which is the barrier of the range. And he basically collapses there. And I'm like, geez. And I'm in the control center. So I'm not on the floor with the rest of the staff that I work with. And so they respond, they pull him off range, and we are first responders. Like, if you don't know much about correctional officers, they have the least. They do so much. They are first responders. They are trained in first aid and CPR, and they are like paramedics on the scene. They do
Yeah.
everything. They put fires out when they have to put fires out. They do all these things, and it's very thankless. The public doesn't see what these people do. Okay. Anyways, my family of officers had to pull this man off range, do first aid on him, and control the rest of the situation. But as the ambulance came to bring him to the hospital, I knew he was not going to make it. I just knew. And I remember standing there in what we call the control center bubble. And I remember putting my hand on my heart as he was being wheeled out on the stretcher, alive. He was alive. And I just knew. And I remember saying a few things, and I'm not going to get into it, but I just knew. And I basically said, it's okay. Like you're going to go and it's fine. You're okay. You're okay. And I remember doing this prayer stuff. It just kind of came to me. And this just happened in the moment. And then I find out he died between there and the hospital. Like he died on the way. And I'm just like, fuck, how did I know this? Like how? Like sure, he got stabbed, but I've seen inmates stabbed 70, 80, 90 times and live and survive. This man was stabbed once. And I just knew. And so this is kind of this weird, I don't know why, moment, right? And it's like, man, I helped his soul, which is so messed up. Like in the moment, I'm there going, what am I even doing? Like,
Right.
How is this even happening? Like, how am I doing this work? Which is so odd. But I just knew I had to do it. So, yeah. Hi, Claudia. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Now this makes sense why there's something about you that resonates with me in a way that reminds me of my brother Justin, and he was a firefighter, first responder situation. And like, so I'm like connecting some dots now, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I knew nothing about that about you.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, not many people do. People who know me on social media don't know that part of me very much. Like, there's a core following that I've talked about this on my lives and stuff, but not often. And it's a big part of my life, a decade of my life. And so, yeah. So let's just jump a little. Let's just move forward from here for now.
Okay.
Dr. Claudia, I want a little bit of an introduction. Like, who is Dr. Claudia?
I am figuring that out. I figured that out really intensely in the last 48 hours. Oh my goodness. But it was a long road to get to that 48 hours. So I have a PhD in physical activity, nutrition, and wellness from Arizona State University. I am a registered dietitian, and I actually I'm also neurodivergent, and I have ADHD. And I didn't know I had ADHD until like 3 years ago, I think it was, which explained a lot of why I was the way I was. But I developed a lot of coping mechanisms and masks that I wore that throughout the masks throughout my entire life to deal with that. And girls do present with ADHD much differently than the traditional boy symptoms. So I wasn't disruptive in class. I had, straight A's, things like that, because I'd hyperfixate because I enjoyed learning. So I'd hyperfixate. And so I would not do my assignments until the day that they were due, but they were eloquently done in a very short amount of time. But I actually came to nutrition because I struggled very, very deeply with food and my body and my self-esteem and my self-worth from my earliest memories are, I'm not enough. I should not be in my body. This is not a good body. This doesn't feel good. Very early on in my life. Like I'm talking like 3 years old. My earliest memories were like that. And it really, the situation really exacerbated itself when my parents got divorced when I was I think that process started when I was like 7 or 8. And I began using food to cope. I didn't know what to do with these feelings. And the only way to kind of like escape it and even be in my body for a couple of minutes was like binge eating. So I started binge eating and became very overweight. And at that point, nowhere was safe. The second I went to school, I was being bullied. I was being picked on, which just reinforced the messaging that was already in my head that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, all of those things. I knew I wasn't going to survive. Like, I just knew I wasn't going to survive in the time period between 8th grade and going into 9th grade, going into high school. And I had swung the complete opposite direction because I watched some Lifetime movie about a girl with an eating disorder that only ate 500 calories a day, but was anorexic, but lost all this weight. So I was like, well, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, so you saw this as
I saw that as like, well, perfect. This will work.
Right.
And so I severely restricted my food, lost a bunch of weight going into high school. And I wasn't super skinny or anything, but I was like back down to a much more normal place. And everyone's like, oh my God, hi, who are you? Blah, 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 all of these things. But when you do that, when you swing from like one extreme to the other, the pendulum swing from negative to positive or restricting to binge eating, however you want to put it, I couldn't maintain it. You know, you end up, your body actually forces, like if you restrict for a long enough period, your body forces you to then binge eat because it's starving. And so I ended up binging and purging and doing all of these things. Getting out of high school, online pharmacies were like popping up left and right. And so I was ordering a diet drug that's basically an amphetamine and taking like 5 to 6 times the amount of it per day. I'm lucky that I lived through that. Because I went from being severely overweight to being severely underweight. So I've run the full gamut.
Right. How long was that on those drugs? Like, how long were you on those?
That was probably 1.5 years, 2 years.
And so what's that? Like, can you talk about the drug? Like, what it's called? Is it still around?
Yeah, it's still around. You can't order it. It's phentermine.
And what does it do?
It's basically like a methamphetamine. So it drops your appetite to the, like, you don't want to eat, but it also keeps you awake and keeps you running and moving and you can't sit still. And for a person with it actually is very similar to Adderall, which is why
I was just going to ask.
It's
sounds like Adderall to me.
It's very similar. It's almost identical, actually, to be honest.
Okay, so for someone who has ADHD, and maybe you didn't know it then, how did that feel having that stimulant? Because even for me, having ADHD, coffee is enough for me to feel better, even though I don't necessarily say it's helping me.
Right.
It helps me feel
hyperfixate into
So
into the one claim.
Right.
Because usually we're in all places at once, and it puts you in the one place. So I mean, I was really drawn to it because I had never had that feeling before.
Right.
And then obviously, like, I was super like skin and bones, and that was exciting because that's what I thought determined my worth as a human being.
Right. Brenda says I was on it when I was 19 because of my body dysmorphia and wanting to be smaller than I was.
Yeah. Yeah. So luckily they made it much harder to get.
Yeah.
But I mean, now you have Adderall, which they're just throwing at people. But that's why when I found out I had ADHD, I at that point I did try Adderall, and the second I tried it, I was like, "Oh, we've been here before.
We've been here,
We've been here before, and we are not going back to this place." I was not at that place. I had already healed from I healed my relationship with food and body,
right.
And so I knew the second that I took that this is not the route that you need to go. You need to figure out you're not allowed to do this again.
So can you tell me the difference? And I don't know. I don't know if you might know, but like my brothers were both put on Ritalin at a really young age. Is that an amphetamine also? Like, is there a
It
similarity?
is, they're very similar, but they are chemically different. And I don't know enough about them to say what that is. But I know that they're very similar.
Because I know, my brothers. Geez, I want to say they were really young. And I mean that this is probably what 1998, 95, 90, the mid 90s,
Mm-hmm.
late 90s, where that was just kind of like, oh, this kid can't focus.
Right. Boom.
Take
Give them a pill.
We're good, and it messed them up a lot. And they still talk about it to this day, and it really kills me. And I was lucky; I kind of just got over the hump. Like I was able to focus enough to get, like, I was in the 80s. I was still passing, still doing fine, still be able to kind of focus and get by and do my thing. And I never was on any drugs, but I feel so fucking awful for them because it was so early in their lives. It was like, oh, this is this miracle drug. Here you go. And I'm not going to say it took all their confidence away, but man, that was not a good time for them because they think about school and it's not a happy experience for them.
Yeah. I mean, I think about school and it wasn't a happy experience for different reasons.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell me about like your body, call it just maybe a dysmorphia, or where you felt like where you were, like as you fluctuated, did you ever find a place where you were like, okay, this is it? Or
Not until I healed. It
Mm.
didn't matter if you were 200 pounds or 100 pounds. The same level of discontentment was there. You maybe got more external validation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got more external validation, but that emptiness was still there. That discontentment with yourself was still there. That pain was still there. And no matter what I did at that time, no matter, if I did everything, after I let go of the drugs, I stumbled. That's how I started going to school for nutrition.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Okay. So I didn't just automatically go to school and get a PhD. No, I went to like 9 or 10 different colleges. Here's where the ADHD kicks in. I went to 9 or 10 different colleges before I stumbled onto a nutrition class, literally because I kept changing majors. I was like, oh, well, this is neat. And then it was like, oh, you want me to take this stuff for 4 years? I can't do this for 4 years.
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
I can't. No. I mean, well, now this interests me. And now this, the whole, like,
that's not me at all.
Yeah. Right. So I've run the full gamut of college majors for sure. And it wasn't until, I think, when was it? It was 2009. So I had moved out to California. I grew up in Cleveland, in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. And I ran away from this place because I knew I had to get out of here. And that was the only thing that was going to fix things and whatever. And so I ran away to California in 2005, and I became a mortgage broker. I was a mortgage broker doing telephone mortgage sales. Yes.
I just don't see it. Like, you don't see me in a prison.
I know, I don't see it, but I was doing mortgage sales in Newport Beach, California. Like, I'm talking like, our training video, the video that like when I went into training to become a loan officer, it was that movie Boiler Room.
Oh, I remember the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, they literally were like that movie. They were selling like illegal penny stocks. Like, that was our training video. Like, we were told to, like, we were all in cubicles and like we were kicking the side of the cubicle and pretending we were closing the door. And it was like, always be closing. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But like, on a sales floor of like 100 people, there were 2 women and I was one of them. And I was like the top salesperson month after month after month.
Oh.
And And it was because like of this innate ability to connect. I didn't know that's what it was at the time.
So tell me about that. Like, so because I was gonna ask you, what was it? Like, you don't just go in and just become the top salesman unless you got something unique. So what does that mean for your innate ability to connect?
So it was over the phone. So like couldn't even see these people, and I was like cold calling people and like immediately developing a connection and reading them and understanding what they needed. And I thought it was just the training. At the time, like I like
I thought it was the boiler room stuff.
yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm just good at this. This is fine. But actually, the owner of the company ended up one day, because this still stands out to me. He, unbeknownst to me, he was standing behind me when I was on the phone, and I got off the phone, and he goes, Claudia, I need you to know that I don't understand what you're doing. I don't understand what you're doing, but it's the most creative, beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I was like,
because that's deep human connection right there.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I had no idea. I was 22 years old. I was like a kid running around a fancy beach town making stupid amounts of money that I had no idea what to do with. Like,
I tried selling cars at 22, and you know what happened? I couldn't do it because I was like, there's probably a better deal somewhere else. Like, like I tried my best to sell cars, and I was just like, I mean, everybody's like, you should really sell a car. You got a great face. You're really personable. I'm like, thanks.
That is
and
really funny because the brother that I feel like there's like a connection to you, I had him come out to California and got him a job, and that's exactly how he was. He just couldn't do it.
No.
And I couldn't understand why.
Well, and it's kind of like, even when I have calls for like my business, my one-on-one work, like I don't sell you shit. Like I really don't. I'm like, look, this needs to feel right for you. Like,
yeah,
you're feeling like I really don't like the sales game. I don't like it.
It's gross. And I have to be honest, like that, there are pieces and parts of that I'm really appreciative of. Yeah, and I think the piece and part that I'm really appreciative of is that because I was so uncomfortable in my body, like I couldn't have done that in front of a person. There was no way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I didn't have any confidence in myself.
Safety and just being on the phone.
Yeah. So it allowed this piece of me to come out that wasn't able to come out before, because I wasn't seen. So I was safe.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And I honestly, Joey, like I am just now like having this conversation with you, it's becoming very clear what like those kinds of things, why those were presented in my path, because it's stuck in my head for so long. I'm like, why do I feel like that part of my life was so important? Because the work itself, I have to be honest, the work itself, because this was in 2005, 2006, I went through the mortgage crash of 2008. Like,
right.
I saw the downfall happen like a year and a half. Like there were companies closing. I was like, oh, shit's about to hit the fan.
Right.
And I knew that, like, because it only took me, I think, like closing 3 mortgages, and I wasn't sleeping. I was waking, like I couldn't sleep. I had all this like terrible feeling, fear. I was like, we are doing things. Why are we giving a school teacher that makes, $45,000 a year? Why are we paying off their BMW and giving them a loan for an $800,000 house? Like none of this makes sense.
Right.
We are trapping these people into false realities. And like that, as a 22-year-old, that was massively, like now I understand what that energy is, but back then, I didn't understand.
22. Like I look at myself at 22.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh God, stay away from that man or that boy. Like that boy don't know anything, and he's a train wreck. Like man, and 22. What did I do from 22? Sold cars. I think that was more like, okay, 21, I installed cable. I was running around the city installing cable, which was a good job. I think it was a $35,000 salary in Canadian dollars. So it was probably more like 27,000 US. But at 21, I didn't care. I was going to the bar Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Right.
I didn't give a shit. I was like,
Right.
I got enough money to pay my car. I'm living at home. We're good. I'm gonna pay my tequila shots and my McDonald's after the bar, and I'm good. Don't care. And then from there, I went to try to sell cars. That didn't go so well. I mean, I like talking to people. That's about it. And then from there, I went to oil and gas industry in the west of Canada and like into corrections, or went to travel the world into corrections. And then here I am into this. Like, what? Like, when you look at your path, like you can't design that.
Mm-mm.
There's no way.
No way.
There's no way. That's why I tell people. So this reminds me of like people always going, where I need answers. I need clarity from my guides. I need to know where I'm going. I need to know all this. I'm like,
no, you don't.
Lady, sir, if you knew where you were going, you would bail so damn quick because there's so many zigs and zags, and you're not going to understand why you have to go here to get here, because it just doesn't make sense. You need to trust where you're at. You need to find your alignment as best you can, and to trust your intuition and follow the steps and follow the breadcrumbs and just step in. Because if you saw the plan or the blueprint, you'd be like pull the chute now. I'm out.
Not. Absolutely not. But the theme of today for me, I feel like, because I've said this so many times, because so many things happened before we hopped on this live at 9:30 p.m. today. Like I'm blown away every day I get up and I say, show me how good it can get. And they're like, okay, boom, 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 like thing after thing after thing after thing. And so I kept saying over and over and over again today, I was like, this is one of the things that I know to be so deeply true at this point.
Yeah.
That the whole idea that your life is more beautiful, more amazing, more spectacular than you could ever come up with on your own. The things that you want, those like the things that you want, that your desires, all of those things, not that you should give up on them, but you need to understand that the plan and the path and all of these things are more beautiful, more I'm in awe. I'm absolutely honored and in awe with my life, to be honest. And it's just
I can't say enough about what that statement is, because we get stuck in the how, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're just first diving into the law of attraction or the magic and all this energy work. You get stuck on the how. Well, I want this. I want the Porsche. I want the job.
We get stuck on the what though too.
But for me, it's like, I already know the what's happening. It's the how I find people. And so tell me.
For me, with the what, I have to be honest, like the way my path has unfolded, the what's that I wanted, they came from the things that I wanted in the place I was currently in.
Yes.
As I was healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those desires led me to the breadcrumbs of the next level of the things that I was going to desire.
100%.
I think I fully get there's a couple of things that I know that those are not things that I know those are coming in, and I'm not going to let those go. Right. But they're not the Porsche or they're not those things.
Yeah. And see, it's funny. Like, I think correct me if I'm wrong, those desires evolve and change. It's like you get to another level up, and you're closer to that, and you're like, well, that's just not it anymore. And it kind of morphs into, okay, that's it now. And you kind of get to the next, and it morphs again.
Yeah.
And there's a few things in my life too. Like there's non-negotiables, and a Porsche is one of them because it's just is. I already know that, and it's not because I need to have people that have a Porsche. I just know that eventually I will have that Porsche, and I'm just going to have it. I'm going to have it because I have this many streams of income, because I get to help this many people, and I get to expand more and more and more. There are parts of this manifestation journey and expansion journey that are material for me. It's not the driving force, but there's little pieces.
I mean, I have a few. I think for me, like, again, and because of the way that like my journey went, my worth was so embedded for such a long period of time with the limiting beliefs that I had and the past lives that I had and all those kinds of things, that it was so embedded in these superficial places that it was a lot. Those were a lot of the things that I had to let go of. So like, for example, I was married for 13 years in a very abusive relationship. And I didn't even know how bad it was until I healed my relationship with food and body, because that was like the first layer of the onion. I couldn't even see. I thought I deserved that, and like that was normal, and like all of that. But when I left that, one of my biggest struggles of leaving it was because I had the house and I had multiple cars and I had a fifth wheel and vacations, all of these things. And I had to leave with like in a 2-door convertible with my dogs and the items that I had to leave that. And the moment that I really like realized, okay, I have to leave this behind, is I was having a conversation with my friend at the time. And I said, but, I've got the house and the pool and like, but I can't stay here because he's not going to leave. So I'm going to have to leave. And she was like, look, you can stay in the tower, like Rapunzel, like you can stay there. But if you stay there, you're going to die. Like you have to leave. You have to leave. And that was one of the things that actually, it resonated so deeply, because when I was given the signs to leave, I was actually in New York City, and I was at like this women's empowerment conference with 2 other influencers that I had just met. And, but the woman that was holding it was trained by Tony Robbins. And so she was like telling this story about the movie Alive, about the soccer players that, it was a true story. They crashed in the mountains. They ended up having to eat like the people that had died to survive. But anyway, the fuselage of the plane was still intact. And she was like, look, the fuselage feels safe. It feels safe because, you're protected from the elements. But nobody was coming to get these people. They were already determined as they were dead. So they had to leave the fuselage in order to survive, to even have a chance at surviving. And in that moment, I was like, shit. Mm-hmm. My marriage is a fucking fuselage. Like, I have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's heavy.
Yeah.
But that comfort. And so tell me this, like, when it came to your knowing, because it's really hard to find your knowing when you're in the wounding and when in the scarcity and the fear. Like, where would you find that foundation? Where would you find that, okay, I'm in my center. I know. I mean, you probably knew for a long time.
Oh, I knew the second I met that person.
Okay. So do you want to talk about that, or is that something you don't want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, I'm pretty open about all of these things, but I knew the second I met them that the choices I was making to be with that person were based out of fear. They were based out of fear. And that's why I stayed. That's why it was fear. It was fear that this this was my only option, that I didn't deserve anything else.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, it was based out of fear. And so even though I knew, I didn't trust that knowing.
Yeah.
I've been shown things my whole life. And on that same trip, so I actually have it sitting right here. A couple of months before I went on that trip, and I had read this book before, I had checked it out of the library or whatever. I had gone to a used bookstore in Flagstaff, and I found this copy of The Alchemist. Of course.
Of course, it's right in front of you.
Yeah, of course. And I was like, this is beautiful. I love the cover. Like, I had never seen it look like this.
It's a much nicer cover than mine.
And the thing is too, it's from a used bookstore, and it had a note. I'll have to pick that up, but it had a note in it, and the note didn't really make sense at the time, but I felt compelled to keep it. And like a month ago, I was like, I feel like I need to look at that note, and it's like, oh, that was for me. This was for me. But so I had read this, and so it was very in the forefront of my brain. And so when I went on that trip to New York City,
yep.
I was in that thing, had the fuselage moment, and I had some time to myself, and I was like in a park in the middle of New York City, and I literally just looked at the sky, and I was like, okay, just show me the signs. Show me the signs. Do I stay or do I go? I'll do whatever you show me. Just show me.
Yep.
And I got them within 24 hours, and aggressively.
Okay, tell me about this aggressive sign, or these aggressive signs. I want to hear it.
So he started calling my phone, and I was in the subway and couldn't answer the phone. Because there's New York City, like that was the first time I've ever been there. And like somebody at the time, I didn't know I was energetically sensitive. So being around that many people is a lot to take in. And I answered the phone, but it kept cutting out. And I was like, hey, I'm trying to get through the turnstile. I'm trying to get on that thing. I'll call you back. And it was just, go fuck yourself. How dare, the whole spiel immediately. And I hung up the phone. And my friend who was with me, and she's like, that's not okay. Right. You know that's not okay. And I was like, I was like, yeah, but and then it continued. I got out of the subway, I called him back. I got yelled at for like 45 minutes about the whole encounter. And then it was the next day, because the thing was it was over a weekend. And so this entire time he was with two of his friends. Like I planned him a boys' trip so that this wouldn't happen.
Right. And so you could both be doing.
Yeah. Like you have your friends, and it's okay. Right. And the thing was at the time my Instagram was taking off, and I mean, it was a legitimate work trip. It wasn't just fun. It was a legitimate work trip. But I still planned him an activity. And before I left, I had my car keys and the house keys. And I was like, I don't want to lose these in New York. And I went to put them on the counter. I was like, and I hesitated. I was like, oh, don't do it. And again, I didn't listen, and I left them. And so I get up the next morning. This is Sunday. I'm to fly out at like 4:00 in the morning on Monday. So not even 24 hours later.
Right.
I'm calling. He's not answering. And he's supposed to be like driving back down from Flagstaff. And so now I'm starting to wonder, like, what happened? Is he okay? Are the dogs okay? Like, what's going on? And we had a security system. So I logged into the security system. Okay, the truck's not there. He's not home yet. He's not answering. Then I log in, and the truck's at the house. And I'm like, why is he not answering? Like, what is going on? And I just knew. I'm like, oh, he's about to go full nuclear the way that he's done in the past. And sure enough, never returned my calls. Sent me a text message that just said, the keys to your car are in the electrical box. I put a water and your jar of protein in the car. This is done. Like, basically go fuck yourself. And I'm like, oh God, I go to log into the security system. He's locked me out of the security system. He's canceled, because he controlled all of the bank accounts and all of those kinds of things, even though my money was going in there that I made, but like I had no control over it.
Yeah.
And I was locked out of everything. And I sat there and was like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna do this. My friends were like, my one friend actually is from Canada, and she's like, Claudia, it's not safe for you to go back there. We got to change your flight. You can come to Canada. And I was like, Rainey, I don't have my passport. Like, I have my dogs, and I have I'm getting on the plane. I will figure this out. So, at 4:00 in the morning, here's me on a flight, a 5-hour flight with a notepad, like writing down the list of things that like were coming to my head. Also, like, legitimately, like, I was sitting there adding up the amount of money that I made, because he had thoroughly convinced me that I didn't contribute in any way, shape, or form. And right. I was absolutely nothing without him. And it took me sitting there writing everything down. And I'm like, okay, I make 65% of the money. Like,
you were just able to convince you the otherwise.
Yeah. I'm like, why? I can more than take care of myself. This is ridiculous. Like, how did I even get to this place? And the irony is too, like, I read on the flight there, the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And it's about how everybody has their own like thermostat of what is acceptable. And you have to break past that thermostat in order to like move forward in your life. And so I was like, oh boy. So I literally got off the plane. I contacted a person that had been watching my dogs at the house previously and had a spare key to the house. Mm-hmm. I called my dad and was like, okay, well, here's the truth. And the first response I got was, well, we've all known that's the truth. Literally every time we've seen you, I have looked for bruises on you to see if you were okay. Oh. Like, literally the first sentence out of his mouth.
So he was not disappointed that.
No, I mean, I think everybody knew, and nobody really knew what to do, and I was incredibly good at covering it up.
Right.
And the thing too is, like, I lived in Arizona and all my family lived in Ohio. So it was very easy to like hide 99.9% of it because nobody was there to see it.
So when you asked for sign, like, where were you in your spiritual journey at that point? Like, when you're asking for signs, so I'm guessing
I literally had read this book.
That's it.
And I'm like, that's it.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was it. And this was 2018. This was September of 2018 when I asked for those signs.
So then what? So then there's your moment, your tipping point, let's say. And then so I'm guessing you broke that completely from there. Like, that was it? Or?
Yeah, it took me like 3.5, 4 weeks to get out of the house because I had to, like, it was a situation where he had to think that it was, I'm just going to visit for a little while and like those kinds of things. And then, so I got myself and the dogs out of there. And put 2,000 miles between us. I think the first month, I spent most of that first month sleeping because like I was so like sleep exhausted because when it panned out. So he's on the spectrum of a sociopath and narcissist.
Yep.
And it took me 4 different therapists before I even believed what they had to say because I was so wrapped up in it and so convinced and so in that personality that he created for me.
Right.
That, you know, I went to the first one and I was like, oh no, they just want me to get divorced.
Basically said this, like, came to the same conclusion.
Oh yeah. By the time I got to the fourth one, I was like, oh, and the thing is too, I was doing virtual couples counseling, and the guy in the virtual couples counseling, like I was saying things, he was like, I think you need to use your intuition. Like, cause he couldn't say it in front of him, but it was like, basically like, bitch, you better run. Like,
hey,
winky, winky,
right.
winky, winky, you need to get out of there.
Jeez.
And to be honest, I don't think if I hadn't put the amount of distance that I had, I would have ever been able to get out of that. Because the thing is the divorce got drawn out for a year and a half. It wasn't finalized till like literally the week after the pandemic started and everything was shut down. So it was like March of 2020 that the thing was finalized, because he was using lawyers to like create all these problems and things. Right. So, I mean, I didn't even get a chance to like fully calm down until March of 2020, when it was like, oh my God, this is done. This is done.
Yeah. What did Brenda say? Brenda said, yep, you love the masks and the potential you can see because of your gifts. So you dismiss the flags.
Yeah. I see people's highest timelines.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lovely gift, but until you understand that that's what's happening and what's going on, it's a little problematic.
I got to pull this one up too. My friend Greg said, sorry to backtrack, but you two have me checking goddamn ADHD self quizzes. Yeah. Holy. So he's like, oh God. Yeah. Too funny. So let's jump into that for a second, because I don't think we've really talked about that. And I want to go back to body dysmorphia, because that's something I need to bring up.
This is how people with ADHD work. We're jumping the way that we're meant to.
So let's just go back to like 35 minutes ago, because I forgot. Yeah, exactly.
But like, this makes perfect sense to me. This is like a natural conversation for me.
I love this. It's because I'm the same. So what are your, like, are there certain foods that help you? Like, I started a microdosing journey. I'm on week 2. That has helped me, I think, tremendously already in the last week. What are we, Wednesday? Yeah. A week and a half in. I'm doing a 5 on 2 off kind of cycle right now.
So that's so interesting. That same summer before I left, I was also microdosing. That probably got me to the place where I was able to hop out of it. Okay.
So other than microdosing, what are you like?
I don't do it to be clear, I don't do it anymore. I don't feel like it's, I don't know. That's not my path right now.
Yeah. Right now you're not. Yeah. So tell me about, like, coming from a dietitian standpoint or a health standpoint, knowing your diagnosis, or whatever you want to call it, being ADHD. Are there foods that you recommend, supplements you recommend, anything that, like, what in your journey of self-discovery, I guess, what has helped you with that?
So really for me has been listening to my body and understanding myself and how I operate. When it comes to food, there isn't necessarily specific foods that are going to improve it. I will say something that stands out to me. I just recently got back from a trip visiting my mom, and my brother and sister-in-law are there and their kids are there. And, my nephew had eaten something with the red dye number. I think it's number 5. I don't remember which number it is, but my brother and sister-in-law were like, oh boy, tomorrow's going to be fun. And I was like, why? And like Maverick, my nephew, he goes, I'm going to turn into a zombie tomorrow. Like, it like, even he knows at 3 years old. Yeah, he's 3. Yeah, I think he's 3.5. He'll be 4. He knows, like, oh yeah, this makes me crazy. Like, this makes me crazy. So it's not actually the foods themselves. Like, it's more the additives and things that the United States allows, because those things aren't even allowed in Europe and things like that. But I want to be really careful with that, because when we start to obsess about the foods that we eat instead of listening to our body about what to nourish ourselves with, diet culture has a really good way of making you feel guilty and shameful about things. And if we look at the scale of emotions, you have lust, guilt, and shame. So if you're like hyper fixated on your diet, you're staying in guilt and shame, and that's lowering your vibration. So that's not going to help.
I love that so much.
But what I will say was with ADHD, what happens is we forget to eat. We forget to eat a lot because we get we forget what's going on, and like our hunger cues, like it tends to be a situation where it's like, oh, I can still do what I'm doing. I can still do what I'm doing. Holy shit, I'm starving. Yeah. So what I've found is like having like small bite things, like things that are really easy, accessible, snacks, all of that kind of stuff. Because I'll eat snacks as meals because it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm hyper fixating on something. So I am not going to stop doing what I'm doing, but I also need to eat, but I'm not going to take 45 minutes to make a meal.
Yeah. No, I find that's the biggest thing with me too. Is when I do forget, I'm working hard, or I'm doing, maybe I have back-to-back sessions and I'm doing whatever happens, whatever's going on in life, parenting, whatever. And then it gets to the point where, damn, I'm hungry. That's when I make decisions that really, when it comes to the food, I don't want to make, but they're easy.
Because you're hungry.
And I'm like, oh, I just want this right now. So that's interesting for me too, because I eat healthy. I'm 80%. Like I eat I'm an intuitive eater. So I don't, I've changed from being like, it has to be this way to much more intuitive eating. But when it comes to it, it's whole foods 99% of the time, unless it gets to the point where I get hungry and it's like, I'm whipping through a drive-through, which I would never do 90% of the time, but it's there and it's fast and it's easy and it gets it done.
And it's better to fuel yourself at that point than it is to not. Because like your brain needs it, your body needs it, all of those things. But yeah, I mean, it's like 80%. If you're hitting it 80% of the time, like you're more than good. You're better than probably 95% of people. And yeah, it is whole foods. Like, but I mean, I had the same kind of situation where I was hyper fixating earlier today because of all of the things. And I realized, oh shit, I got to eat. And I opened the fridge and I was brilliant because the other night when I had time, I just grilled a package of chicken. And so I was like, oh, I got barbecue chicken. And then I always keep like the microwavable 90-second rice or whatever. And I was like, yes, yes. My previous me saved current me. That's awesome.
So good. Yeah. See, I've been on this damn DoorDash. I'm just like, the Mexican food. I love Mexican food so much, but it's like a $15 meal turns into a $30 meal because of the damn DoorDash. I'm like, but I gotta stop.
Oh yeah. So I live close enough to Little Italy. So my thing is like, I will DoorDash like fancy Italian desserts.
Like
send me the cannolis, send me the cassata cake, like, the tiramisu, like just send it all over. Like, thank you, DoorDash. Thank you. Yeah.
It's created a whole different beast, this DoorDash.
Yeah. And it gets expensive. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go back to body dysmorphia because that's something I've talked about a little bit in the past, but, it's so different for everyone. Right. And, you don't know this because we haven't talked about this. Growing up as a skinny kid, always called the skinny kid, always called the rail, always, put some meat on your bones, put all this, blah, 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 blah. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't understand that being called that and being called chubby or fat or anything else is the same exact effing thing.
It is.
It might look different to you. You might wish, I wish I looked like this, or I wish I looked like you. But the psychological effect and the mental, I don't know what you want to call it, is the same.
The mind screw?
Yeah, the mind screw. I like that. And so my whole life, and it's something I still deal with now. Like skinny, like always a really good athlete. So I was always athletic, but always the skinny one of the group. You know, whether I was playing hockey or I was playing baseball, I was the skinny one. Yeah, I was good at it, but I was always, oh, put some meat on your bones, put some blah, blah, blah. Then I get to the gym, I find that, get moving, get going, put some muscle on. Okay. I'm like, all right. And then it's like, well, the hyper focus gets into it too, the ADHD. And then I'm like, balls to the wall. I'm in the gym.
Right.
Only goal is to look like that and not like I am. And so for probably, you know, I've been probably in the gym for 15 to 17 years and it's gotten a lot healthier. But that first 10 years, I'd do anything. It was like, I'll eat the 300 grams of protein. I will do whatever I have to do to get to a certain point. And I got to a certain point physically to like, you know, aesthetically. Then you get there and then what?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You put this benchmark that you're like, oh, this is where the heavens open up and the magical things happen. And then you get there and it's like, well, now I got to move the bar again because I didn't find the thing I was looking for.
Right. And I didn't
and I did that for 30 years.
Yeah.
30. Because, I mean, it started when I was like 3.
Yeah, that's wild. 3. And I wonder how long it was. Like, I wonder when it started for me because I don't know. I can't consciously remember.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing a little later. But, man, putting muscle on for a guy who had the metabolism I did was really difficult. So I had, you know, weight gainer shakes and, you know, everything I could do to get muscle. And then, like I said, like you get to a certain point where you're like, wow, like I kind of like where I'm looking right now. And then it doesn't last 2 weeks because you can't maintain that because you're not.
Anytime the goal is to become something that's not authentically you, it's not going to get you to where you want to go.
Right.
I mean, you can improve your health. By all means, you can improve your health. You can improve your, your physical capacity. You can do all of those things, but you have to honor it in a way that is authentic to you, that makes you feel good mentally and physically.
You know what though? You know how long I used to mask my gym obsession with the word health. Oh, it's because I love health and wellness. No, I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to have abs and I wanted to have a big chest and big arms. That's it.
So I was in the nutrition program.
Yeah.
Masking this as health.
Sure.
We actually did a study at Arizona State to figure out what the percentage of eating disorder behavior is in the college. Guess who has the highest eating disordered behaviors in the college, like amongst a myriad of majors? Nutrition majors.
Sure. Of course. Makes sense.
Because then we can say, oh, well, I know better than you and I can hide it.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Damn ego.
So that's why it's so problematic with like nutrition information in general, because when you have a large percentage of nutrition professionals living through their disordered eating behavior and projecting it onto their clients, you have a massive, massive problem, because now you just have a community of professionals promoting eating disorder behavior.
So you being more evolved in this field, I would say, than most, seeing all the influencers, because I mean, when it comes to fitness and there's no shortage of fitness influencers, right, or health influencers. Like, how do you react to that? Like, how do you, like, you see it all. So
at first that I was one of them.
Sure.
I was one of them. And then through healing myself, that's where I saw, oh shit, the message needs to change, and it needs to change quick. And the thing is when it comes to that, people are all on their own authentic journeys. And if you're going to truly embody the idea that we each need things differently and we're not going to follow a set of rules, I can't sit here and go, my way is better than yours.
Yeah.
That would be inauthentic.
Right.
If the disordered behavior is going to happen, my job isn't to go around swashbuckling and fighting all of these people. My job is to stand in my truth, share that truth, share my experience. And if it resonates with somebody, then that's who it's meant to resonate with.
I love that so much.
It's just like we can't force. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Like they have to. That has to resonate with them, and they have to go, well, I need you to show me a couple of steps on this path.
Right. And some are, and I mean, some are gonna have to learn lessons over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. And they come out. It's not just in your. Yeah, I mean. Whoa, okay. Can I just crawl out of my own skin right now?
Yeah, exactly. But it's true. It's so cool to hear you say that, because that's truly how I feel about, all the labels, spirituality, healing.
Well, and that's the thing when it comes. So the thing is like diet culture is literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is I'm like, okay, I'm living in the nutrition space, and then over the last year, I got shoved into a different space.
Oh, you were gently guided and placed in that space.
No, they pushed me off a fucking cliff. And Joey, you want to know how they pushed me off a damn cliff? One day. Okay, so I was like, my Instagram was like, I was like, for a while there, I was like a dualistic person. I was one person on Instagram and I was another person on TikTok.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do any of that. There's no way. Oh,
yes.
TikTok allowed me to be me.
Same. They were like, we don't care about any of this. Can you please just be you? Actually, if you're not you, we don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from you at all. And so I was starting to, I was doing the meditating. I'm like, I'm going to manifest. I'm using affirmations. I'm doing the things. Right. And this was last summer. And and I had come across this, like, I do not chase, I attract, what is meant for me just comes for me.
Yep.
And so I go and I record this video and I was like, holy shit. Like, you guys, this like legitimately works, because all of this stuff was like happening and I didn't think really anything of it. Next thing I know, fucking 5 million people saw it. Over 5 million. And I'm like, and I have all of these followers, and they're like, oh, can I have a reading? And I'm like, what? I'm like, I can help you with nutrition. What just happened?
No, you just got to get the fake accounts to reach out to them saying, hello, beloved, would you like a reading?
Oh my God. Oh yeah. I've seen that they've been doing that. I'm waiting for someone to message me. Like, I'm like, okay, nobody's
hello, beloved.
Oh, that's see, so I keep having the spellcaster people comment on my videos.
On the comments? Oh my, I'm so glad I found Julia's
I know, like I got my ex,
all my spells and my exes back.
I'm like, make it stop. Like, literally every time I see one of those, I'm like, block. Please leave the people alone.
So good. Ridiculous. Okay, where do we go? Like, what happened here? Where did we go here?
Oh, well, that's how I got shoved off the cliff. That's how I got shoved off the cliff by my guides.
Let's be honest. I don't think there's many here listening or watching, because we're all going through this, whatever you want to call it.
The awakening, the ascension.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, are you slowly working into the comfortability of using these terms?
Just sick of using the terms, because I'm sick of using labels more every time. And
I know.
Well, you said it perfectly. when I asked you the other day, I said, "Can you give me a quick bio?" Oh, fucking bio! I've rewritten this 3-4 times in the last how many months? Yes,
right.
because we are
because you can't put me in a box. I don't know what you want me to like. You want me to describe all of the dimensions of my situation right now in this in what do they give us on TikTok? 180 characters or 80 characters or some shit. It's not a lot.
No.
It's barely a sentence.
So I want to jump. I want to stay here for a second because you talked to me about your PhD. And when because that's a big fucking deal. It is. Anybody, right? It is. And I can see you battling with that now, going, okay, I'm not necessarily just Dr. Claudia.
No, I'm literally, when I signed into this, I was like, do I even put doctor in front or just fucking write Claudia?
And I can see you struggling with it because you even wrote, what did you write with? I don't know, something I saw. And I was like, it just doesn't even because
it doesn't make sense anymore.
You got the PhD. Was it something you were like, like?
Okay, the PhD, to be honest, to be 100% fucking honest with the PhD, it was like picking a number on the scale and saying, when I hit that, that's when the heavens open and the sky happens and blah, 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 and all the things.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, because look, it's a big fucking deal. You put a lot of time and effort into that. You put your heart and soul into something to get you to that label, that level.
But see, the thing is, though, what I will say is, yeah, that was my experience at the end when I reached it. I'm not going to lie. That was the truth. But now I'm realizing the PhD had a couple of different functions. First off, I was at Arizona State for 7 years total.
Yeah.
Because I finished my bachelor's, did my master's, and did my PhD there. And it was the only safe place for me at that time. Like that was a place where I was safe to start to kind of become who I am, and like
played a beautiful role.
Yeah, it played a beautiful role, and it helped me heal that outer layer of the onion that I had to heal. Like it served that purpose.
Yeah.
But it also served this dualistic purpose, and then it also put me in a box. It put me in a box that then I like the damn caterpillar turn into a butterfly, and you got to push yourself through the chrysalis. Like that was my chrysalis. Like I was trapped in it.
Right.
And it's so interesting because when I started going down this path, like last year, I had a conversation with my brother Stuart, and he was making major changes in his life too, and drawn to do that.
Right.
And I was talking about, I think that video had gone viral, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like people are gonna I'm getting these messages, and I'm supposed to put out these, because that video went viral, and then I started receiving messages, and it was like, you need to record these and share them. And I was like, you shut up.
No.
Don't you do this to me. You're going to I'm going to get called a quack and a crazy person and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my brother said to me, he was like, Claudia, like that PhD probably makes it a lot harder for you to even be you. And it did.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I actually today, I was like, do I just put Claudia? And I decided, no, I am putting Dr. Claudia, and I'm not putting Dr. Claudia because of the PhD, but because of the fact that I'm a fucking healer. Yeah. And I know how to go get these energies and transmute them to a place where healing can be done. And that is a real doctor. And oh my God, this is coming together for me in this very moment. Because when I got into the PhD, and this all plays into how I was brought up, I called my dad, and I was so excited. I was like, I got into the PhD program. I got in. And he goes, Well, I don't know who the fuck you think you are. You're not a neurosurgeon. You're not a real doctor. It's not a
Oh.
real doctor.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that my brother, like, we had a running joke, like, it's like, oh, yeah, Claudia, go at it, but you're not a real doctor. And he put it on a coffee mug. It was hilarious. But because we have to laugh through our trauma,
Sure.
until you heal it. But yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and use it now in that space.
There are no, like, I mean, as cliche as it is, there are no mistakes, and your path is so perfect, right?
Yeah.
Just like, I had to work in corrections for 10 years. You had to
Right.
get your PhD. Like, there's no doubt. Like, what I gained from that job, there are skills and there are experiences that I will always bring with me, but I would never have been able to get anywhere else.
And I feel like I need to say this to you just because, I don't know, it's popping up for me to say this. Like, my abilities to do the things that I do have nothing to do with that degree. Have nothing to do with that. Like, I feel like talking to you, like, and the way that this week has transpired, it was more like, you were like, oh, it was like going to Joey's school, and it was like, I talked to you for like 10 minutes, and they like, you just send me on my way to like fulfill a mission.
You'll be fine. We'll talk later.
We'll talk. You need to talk to this person, and we'll talk later, Claudia. It's fine. It's fine. And then like, then the heavens open up, and it's fine.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. All right, so we're at like an hour and 15 minutes. I didn't even know how the hell that happened, but because I want to keep some magic for next time I have you on, I'm going to ask my final 2 questions.
Okay.
Ask everyone. So this show is all about being open, raw, and vulnerable. And I'm wondering if you have anything that you could share with us, with everybody here, that you may not have shared before, or something that you may not have shared much about. Something vulnerable that you think could bring some value to anyone kind of on this journey.
Oh, you really took me by surprise with this. Because I share so much.
You don't have to overthink. It doesn't have to be this big thing. The first thing that pops to your head that you think could bring some value to someone going through,
I feel like I'm gonna, where's the book? I'm gonna read the card that actually, that led me through this last section of this process. And it was you who, so I think that's kind of fitting. So I'm going to read it because, okay. So it's from the Shaman Dream Oracle deck, and it's the Unmarked Trail. Mm-hmm. An unprecedented experience, discovery, revelation. You are called now to embark on a sacred journey. The Arthurian knights, in their quest for the Holy Grail, had to make sure to take an unmarked trail that no one had ever followed, or they would never accomplish their goal. Likewise, you must enter the darkest forest of your soul via a route yet unidentified to find what you seek. The manicured paths will bring you only temporary pleasure and later great pain. Stop it. You already know there is no reward at the end of the road you are following. You're only killing time. Pause, breathe, and commit in your heart to a sacred endeavor. Vow to not look for old solutions that may have worked with past challenges. Get out of character, try the outrageous, and keep your quest private. Now is not the time to speak of the voice that called you to embark on the unmarked trail. That time will come. The unmarked trail can be a sign that you have already made a choice, even if you do not want to acknowledge it. Be at peace with what your heart knows to be true. Your heart has already been made up, and your mind will follow. Pack lightly, taking with you only essential beliefs that you know to be trustworthy under all circumstances. The universe has your back. And the truth that I know that everyone needs to hear is you need to let go of fear. You need to have faith. You need to have faith in the fact that the plan for you is more beautiful, more amazing than you could ever imagine. And even if you're feeling pain right now, that pain was designed to get you to that place.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Whew.
Yeah, that was good.
That one. I felt that one.
That's why. See, that's why these questions. I'm all about the final two questions. So the next one, because it's called Alive with Joey. I always ask my guests, what does it mean to be truly alive for you? I know that's changed over the years.
It's changed in the last couple of days. What does it mean to be fully alive? To play. And that's the card I pulled today.
And you know what's funny? I don't know. On Sunday when I led my meditation, it was an inner child meditation, but guess what it was all around? It was around play. It was around going back to the inner child. Not the one that's wounded, not the one that's in pain. It's about the one that had so much fun being in this sense of wonder and awe of life and just playing in the sandbox or building forts. And it's bringing that child back to remind us that we can still fucking play.
Yeah. And you have to play through pain.
Yeah.
You have to play. So this is the card I pulled today before we got on here, because I pulled one and I was like, oh, of course, this is what it said. Joyful Muse, inspiration, the gift of play, inner child. The Joyful Muse invites you to become more playful, to have more mirth and joy in your life. You have become boring to yourself, even as others continue to find you interesting. Circumstances have dulled your edge, and it's time to change. Not the things around you, but your attitude. Blow a morning kiss to yourself in the mirror. Smile to a stranger. Wink to a child. Be mildly but elegantly inappropriate. The Joyful Muse is a source of inspiration, a wild and disruptive feminine force that compels you to invite more pleasure and delight into your life. Give yourself permission to be mischievous and find the humor in the tragedy while careful not to become frivolous. The power of this muse will shake up everyone around you and invite you to create beauty and grace out of the pain and tragedy you perceive in areas of your life. The Joyful Muse often comes in at a time when darkness prevails and the future seems dour. Embrace her gifts, being playful without being silly. Invite the child inside you to come out for a play date, and he or she will help you to return to your innate innocence, the place of never been there, never done that, even if it's the same routine you wake up to every morning.
You and I both talked, I think, on our videos about this deck of cards. We've never been drawn to cards.
Oh, no.
Neither of us. And then when I got my hands on that, I was just like, within 3 or 4 days, I'm just like, something's different about this deck of cards. Like, I can't put it down every day. I need to pull a card, and it's always so aligned. It's so beautiful. And I'm guessing you feel the same.
Well, the second I saw that the unmarked trail.
Yeah.
Like when I heard that, I was like, that is for me. Like that like I need to order these and I need to do it right now.
Yeah.
And then I pulled the jeweled web, and that is when you messaged me and you're like, we need to talk.
Yep. I love it.
But yeah, I ordered a tarot deck probably, I don't know, maybe like a year ago. And I like touched it and I was like, nope, and put it back in the box, and it's sat there ever since. I'm like, you just are not for me.
So what was the card you picked today about the web? What was it again? What was it called?
Oh, no, the first card that so I've only picked 3 cards out of the deck. So I'll go ahead and read this one.
Well, I want you to tell me what it's called first.
Jeweled web connectivity.
And this, so I gotta show everybody. I was outside taking a pee. Yes. outside taking a pee. And right beside me, okay, guys, I lived in Costa Rica for 6 months. I saw some spiders, but I didn't see this effing thing. And this is right beside me while I'm peeing. The biggest black widow. I didn't think they got this big. This thing was the size of was like this big. Right outside my office. I'm like, what the F is happening right now?
Joey, show him the video I sent you a little bit before that after I got out of my meditation.
Which one did you, where is it?
It's in WhatsApp. Because I'm on my phone, so I can't show him.
So the 8-second or, oh yeah.
If you guys can't see that, that is a very beautiful spider web. It was directly in front of me. It was the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes out of the meditation today.
And this is the same day. Don't get me started. Yeah, the amount of synchronicity. So this last 48 hours has been that ridiculous. Like I'm talking peaks and valleys within an hour for me. But the synchronicities and the things happening and falling into my lap is insanity. Anyway.
So I'm going to read it because I feel like they need to hear it.
Bring it.
All right. Jeweled web, connectivity, no separation, the feeling state. Approaching any oracle requires you to come in with certain expectations. You're either looking for confirmation of what you already know or attempting to shed light on what eludes you on the obvious path you're on. You're asking whether you will reach a desired goal of some kind. You're rarely able to see beyond memory or projection. And so naturally, everyone comes to the oracle with a narrow perception of what's possible. Imagine that the answer to your question is not about landing at a particular destination, meeting a goal, connecting to a special lover, reaching an end game, or experiencing anything specific. Instead, you discover a shimmering web of jewels you didn't know existed. The world is interconnected in a living web of energy. It isn't possible to know how any of it works, but know this. What is in your highest good is a sparkling jewel that lights up for you among this web of possibilities. You just need to know how you want to feel and choose this consciously. Take your focus off getting anywhere. Practice feeling and being in a place where your desired experience has already come to pass.
Yes.
Who will you be when this is true for you? Mm-hmm. Can you be that now? Feel that now. Practice that. The better you know your path within this web of life, the more it will light up for you. It's celebrating you already.
Look, I don't think I can explain how important it is to understand that, because once you start implementing it into your life, like choosing how to feel and choosing obviously the habits that bring you into that alignment.
Yes. You
can't deny how your life changes. No one has ever made these changes and go, well, I'm just going to go back this way. Yeah, we fall.
I think that was a little disappointing. So
we fall
I'm good.
Sometimes, we go through some different times, but we always know what things brought us to a whole different understanding of our reality.
Yep.
Manifesting is very fucking real. Whether you believe it or not, you're absolutely right. So you're
doing it. You're doing it already.
Exactly. You're doing it no matter what. So choose where you put your focus. Choose if you want to be positive or negative. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. I've been the opposite side. I've been super negative. I've been a part of the rumor mill. I've put people down. I've made fun of people. I've done these things.
Same.
None of that made me feel good.
Nope.
And I started doing the other stuff because that was really who I was anyway. And I was like, oh my God, I can be just this loving person. And everything shifts, everything changes. Like, it's just such a passion for me to just try to help the people that want to learn it, give them a little bit, just like, here, run with this, see what happens. No one here is a guru. No one here is trying to pretend that they're enlightened. It's just like our experiences through this journey has brought us to this path of wanting to help others because we fucking love seeing people lit up.
That and the ADHD. So there's a connection. Let me connect this dot a little bit, because the first time I really understood the difference between neuronormative and neurodivergent is when I heard this analogy. A neuronormative sees life through the lens of like a flashlight. You know,
Right.
when you use a flashlight, it beams light into a very specific place and it's
Right.
focused. Whereas someone that's has ADHD or someone that's like on the spectrum of neurodivergent is a lantern. They're going out in all directions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I got like 14 flashlights doing this.
No, you don't. You don't. You're not doing that because you're literally in all of the places at once. So being able to guide somebody down a path is a bit easier for somebody who's neurodivergent because we have a lantern.
I like that. I like that much better than 14 different.
Yeah, I know. It relaxes you down a little.
I feel so much better already. I'm a lantern. I'm one lantern. I could be one.
You can be one lantern. You don't have to be 14 things. I mean, you are all of these guys, like all of these beams in all of these directions, but you're one lantern.
Yeah. Claudia, thank you so much.
Thank you. I love this. This was so perfect.
Just so you know, this is the longest show ever.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. We're gonna go live talk. We'll keep doing some things.
Yes.
It's been fun. Where can everybody find you?
At Dr. Claudia Thompson on Instagram and TikTok.
Beautiful.
I personally think TikTok is more fun, but you're welcome to connect at either one. And if you go to either one of those places, the link in my bio will take you to my scheduling page, or, you know, if you're welcome to DM me. It's easier to DM me on Instagram. I'm not going to lie. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, your knowledge, your light with everyone, and your story. I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future. We'll talk more about, maybe we'll dive more into the ADHD stuff. I think some people are like, their jaws are still like.
I know, they're like, oh my God, I had no idea that's me.
Greg just said, come on, go figure. I'd end up sitting still for this specific episode. Unreal. Thanks all.
You're welcome for the hyperfixation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you, everybody, next Wednesday. Make sure to check out my meditation on Sunday on TikTok. That's the same time, 9:30 Eastern. I love you all. Thank you so much. See ya.